Yo, what up, y'all? Rasati out here in Singapore. It is, damn it, if it ain't 3 o'clock in the morning right now. I'm back on my night owl nonsense. I've been doing pretty good. Been doing it in the daytime a little bit, mostly when whenever the inspiration hits me. But tonight, I've been up, grinding as always, up to date on all of my podcast episodes. I finally have an intro, y'all. Oh my god, I can't wait for you to hear this. But I got an intro for the podcast. So season 4. This is technically the second episode of season 4. And I remember I had to go back, right? I had to go back and see how many I've done so far. This is episode 622. Went back to season 1, and that was 2017, right? So 2017, I actually knocked out, I think it was 160 episodes. Because I started in June, no, yeah, June 23rd. I started June 23rd of 2017. So I knocked out 160 episodes. I was diligent. I was doing it every day, daily, right? Well, technically nightly because it was late at night. And the whole concept was the fact that, I was going to do a Rev Run kind of thing where, how he set, Run's family or whatever. He used to sit in the bathtub at the end of the night and talk about, the recap of what happened in his day, what was the major lesson, like what was the takeaway from that day, right? And that was where I kind of got the idea from. The reason I even named it a night owl is because I used to go to these info sessions for Amway, and once the entire group for that area goes and sits in an info session, once they're done for the night, they break off into their teams. You got your parent upline or whatever you want to call it, and then they want to go off and do a night owl. Like, people are still wide awake, the kind of hype after the info session. They want to talk a little bit more, game strategy or whatever, and they go off and do a night owl, which is basically team strategy, think tank kind of thing, right? So that's why I named it the night owl. But let's think about this. 2017, from June 23rd onwards, I did 160 episodes. I already told y'all, 2018 kind of sucked for me a little bit. I was having a really difficult time emotionally. I kind of got attached to somebody, and then they didn't turn out to be who they said they were, and I kind of like fell apart, right? So in 2018, the entire year, this would have been from January all the way onwards. I mean, lucky for me, I had a couple of big things happen anyway. My grandmother's birthday, she turned 100 in 2018, so we all flew out to Sri Lanka and had a couple of collaborations. I did where I kind of slacked off on the podcast department. I kind of picked up in the interviews thing because I really love doing interviews. So I did a lot of Instagram live video where I would interview somebody else from, I don't know, wherever. And I think I knocked out 50 interviews that year. And total for the podcast though was 180. So 160 the first year, 180 the second year, and then of course 2019 I kind of killed it. It still wasn't quite daily from beginning to the end of the year because I only clocked 279 episodes last year, but this is a brand new year. I could do all kinds of things, and right now technically, this is just the second one, but I'm 1 for 1 as far as, daily episodes anyway. So I'm doing good so far. So we'll see where we go. We see where we end up. But I'm looking at it like I'm really enjoying this whole process because it's been really, really phenomenal. So it took me 3 years. This is technically season 4. 3 years to kind of wrap my head around the fact that I should probably do an intro of some sort. I really, really appreciate the fact that Facebook still allows me to do the Facebook Live audio thing because I know a bunch of friends of mine who used to do it. They did it kind of randomly, sporadically or whatever, and they lost the capability because they didn't use it that often. Well, guess what? Baby girl over here is using it on the daily, so I still have access and I'm really, really loving it. I did try Anchor for a little while, but at the time, Anchor didn't have the capacity to let me port over all of my episodes. So I had to start a new podcast. I did for a little while. It was called Good Night Little Bit, and it was where I used to read Enid Blyton's I don't know, the chapter books, kind of like the Wishing Tree, and other little stories like that. So that was kind of cool, and I really enjoyed that because it gives people something to tune into when they're looking for, bedtime stories for their kids and stuff. So they don't have to read to the kid. They can just like put it on and play it and somebody can listen. So I enjoyed that a little bit, but I stopped. I think I did a whole book, which was I want to say it was 26 chapters. So I did 26 episodes, and then that one was really easy. Anchor was really easy to manipulate because as soon as I posted it, it went straight to Spotify. That was kind of like intense and amazing at the same time. And the only problem is that I had 2 podcasts and I couldn't I didn't want to. I wanted one, right? Finally, this year, sorry, not this year, it's already 2020, right? So 2019, I figured out that I kind of need to be on Spotify. I can't just be on SoundCloud. No one's really listening to me. And I kind of got jealous because, everybody that I was friends with who didn't have a podcast when I started, but suddenly had a podcast after, they were talking about their stats and how many countries they were in and how many people were downloading. Like, how cool was that? And I was like, damn, okay, well, I need to be wherever they are because no one's really listening. And it's not like I was going to stop doing the work anyway, but I kind of, want people to listen a little bit. That would be kind of cool, right? So, talked to a bunch of people, finally settled on Libsyn. Now, Libsyn is specifically for podcasters, and it stands for Liberated Syndication. And for about, I think it's about like $20 a month or something, I've done plenty, like one episode a day at approximately 20 minutes each. That's not bad at all. Like, I mean, if you think about trying to do like a music track or whatever, right? I know there's licensing issues and you got to like, UPC, ISRC, like whatever the code is. You gotta catalog all that stuff. So I get it. There's a lot more copyright licensing, blah, blah, blah for music. But guess what? I'm doing a podcast. So here I am with tons and tons and tons of content. And yeah, finally. So that happened. When did that happen? I think that happened in June. Nope, let's go with July. I think it's July. So 3 years after I started the podcast, I finally got it on Spotify. And God, that was a massive undertaking because at the time, I think I had 400 episodes that I had to upload manually, write out the description, go back through. Thank God I had SoundCloud because I'd done that, most of the way anyway. So I had to go through there, get the dates and the dates and the tracks and everything correct. And then, yeah, got it all sorted out. They were really helpful, by the way. Libsyn was really great with the customer service side of things, and got that all situated. It took me a little bit longer to figure out that I wasn't on iTunes, and even then, I was able to talk to them, and they were able to help me figure out where what was going wrong, whatever. And yeah, even up until the last week of December, like everything was going good. I wasn't looking at the stats anymore. I don't look at the stats that often because it makes me mad. So I didn't look at the stats anymore. I just concentrated on my content. And come to find out that Spotify somewhere along the line had created statistics and stuff for podcasters and then for artists separately. And because I had an account, I mean, I've had an account with Spotify forever. At least it feels like forever. I had the podcast on there as well, but it wasn't connected to my specific account. So when I started seeing people doing like the year in review for their artist page, for their podcast page, I was like, yo, hold up. I don't have that. How come? So I went to look at it and finally asked Libsyn. Libsyn was like, you just got to go on here and like, claim it. And I tried, and for some reason it wasn't working. Finally reached out to Spotify. They were freaking phenomenal as well. They got back to me within 24 hours, and they stayed basically holding my hand throughout the process until I got my stuff sorted. So, yeah, as of the 31st of December, the podcast is actually attached to my profile in Spotify, so you can see that I am the owner of that podcast, and hopefully we'll see what the stats are looking like by the end of this year. So, yeah, that is my podcasting journey in a nutshell. As far as content is concerned, I am the kind of person that doesn't plan these things ahead of time. I know a lot of people want to plan their content. I get it. It makes it a lot easier. You can do all the editing and stuff ahead of time. I get that. But that's not how I'm doing this. And considering I've done it for 3 years now, and I'm pretty happy with the quality, except for the yawning, the quality of the podcast itself and the content, the message I'm trying to portray, I'm pretty okay with that. So going forward, the lives will still take place. It will still be Facebook Audio Live. That will be where you find the podcast first, and then after that, it will be SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Libsyn, Google Music. I'm not sure. Yeah, but there's a lot of different places that they're distributing for me, and I am ever so grateful. And we will see how things go from there. So that's it on the podcast front. This is season 4. As you can see, every time I have a new season, I change the imagery. But I have not uploaded anything. I haven't uploaded 621 and 622. Obviously, I'm still recording 622, but I want to go ahead and do the editing and put the intro in and see how y'all feel about that, because I don't know, y'all. It has been freaking phenomenal. I want to digress for a second. Even though I'm talking about season 4, I want to talk to you about this artist that I am working with. So he's not the first person to ask for an intro. And people don't seem to realize I could damn sure figure an intro out by myself. I could buy an intro from somebody else, right? But I don't want to do that. So what I really want to do is get to know people as I go along. And if I find that they have a specific skill set that I might need at some point, I try to get to know them. I try to get to figure out, what their brand is about, what kind of message they're putting out there. And I feel like it would be better if I promote local rather than go buy something from somewhere. I was all set and ready to buy like an intro, kind of like Double X has their intro, like a piece of that or whatever. But obviously there's copyright issues and all that stuff. But I was kind of excited because I spoke to this young man, and he has a very unique sound, and I am quite pleased with the way it turned out. I actually told him, look, I needed to be about 35, 40 seconds long, and I needed to kind of sound like this section of the Double X intro, literally, because I think we talked about this a while back. Baby Girl and I were looking for intros for the podcast last year, although I didn't do anything with that. I think it was to change up when I got to 500 episodes, and I really didn't change anything after 500 episodes. And here we are. I told him exactly the tone, the piece of music, the minute where it started and the minute where it ended. It was about 35 seconds long, and I like how it kind of like, there was a crescendo of some sort, and then it kind of quietly came to a stop, and it would be like an easy way for me to just segue into the speaking portion of the podcast anyway. So that was pretty damn perfect. Like normally when you do something, when you commission somebody to do a piece of art for you, whether it's music or painting or whatever, you don't do one take. You usually do a couple takes. You usually listen to it and you're like, I don't know, maybe change the colors, maybe change a line here, blah blah blah. So anything I've done graphically with people, I usually go through a couple renditions of it. But this one was pretty damn good. I like it. So here I am, very, very happy with the piece of music that was created for me. And the beautiful thing is I get to shout him out every damn episode. And this is what people don't understand, man. This is why I network, right? The young man that I originally asked, he is a music student in Chennai, Sri Lankan, but he was studying in Chennai at the time. And he was like, yeah, I can do this. And I was thinking, yo, man, I'm not saying I can put you on the map, but if people hear your name often enough, people are going to start looking for you. So why not, right? And I was of the impression that, every month he would give me a snippet of something else that he really loved. And if I could make it work as an intro, I would. Like that, I just wanted to promote somebody, And obviously people never trust me when I tell them that I have the network and I can do things, that I'd be happy to promote them and stuff. They're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, and so they don't deliver. I found that my philosophy of, give a fool what he wants and watch him screw it up, it kind of, I hate to say it, it does come true. It's very, very sad. But anyway, so this young man actually came through for me. Like, honestly, I spoke to him, let's say around lunchtime, and I told him what I was looking for, and he was like, yeah, but other music producers, why don't you ask them? I was like, no, I like your sound, and I'm friends with you, and why wouldn't I ask you? So I asked him, and literally within like 3-4 hours he had started working on it already. Like most people, like, oh yeah, when you need it by, and I told him end of the year. This was just before Christmas when I asked him. I said, I'll give you a week. I mean, it's 35 seconds worth of music, and I think you just get a simple beat ready or whatever, it should be pretty okay. Yo, he started working on it literally 3-4 hours after I spoke to him, and knocked it out within 2 hours after that. So I was blown away, to say the least, and I listened to it. And at first, when I first heard it, I was like, it's kind of dark, I don't know. And then I let Baby Girl listen to it, and she was like, yo, can I listen to that again? I'm thinking, huh? Okay, you can listen to it again. I sent it to my brother. He was like, well, what did you send him as, like, the piece that you wanted him to emulate? And I sent it to him. He was like, yo, that's exact. And I was like, okay, maybe not exact, but he definitely got the feel down. So it's been growing on me, right? And I am so excited to promote him going forward. So I'm not going to say his name until I actually get the damn piece of music onto the podcast itself, but you best believe I'm going to credit his ass every freaking episode that it's on. So season 4 will feature this particular intro. I'm not sure if I would change it throughout this year or not. It depends on how things go, how the response is. Not that I'm really all that, taken by what my audience feels. It's more about me and the people that I'm trying to promote anyway. So we will see. I am hoping that this will last at least another 100 episodes, right? Until 700 at least, if not all the way through the end of the year. So each year I hope to get like a new podcast intro. I think it'd be really cool. It's kind of neat to kind of distinguish it by the podcast intro. I've already got this Bitmoji for the cover picture for all of my podcasts at the moment, so you can see the differentiation between each of the seasons. Might as well, I would rather do that, for a season at a time. So we'll see how this goes. But in the meantime, you guys, it's getting better and better. I should hit 365 minimum this year, because it's been growing, like 160 to 180, and then 279. Like, Lord, another 100. And yeah, that should be easy. I should be able to knock that out, no problem. As long as I don't procrastinate, y'all. So anyway, I digress. I appreciate all of your love and support. Please drop comments in the comment box below if you have any comments or questions. If you have anything you want me to teach, you want me to share going forward, please let me know. And I will take it under advisement. But in the meantime, y'all get some rest, because your girl's supposed to be up in another 3 hours to take this girl, her girl to school, and I don't see it happening anytime soon. I'm kind of wide awake still, so what I might do is actually work on a post for Instagram. But I'll catch y'all later. Night.